Francis now in Canada on his first trip to North America since 2015. It's part of the church's effort to reach out to Indigenous communities and make amends for past abuses. Marcus Moore is in Edmonton with the latest. Good morning, Marcus.
Well, George, good morning. This is no doubt a historic moment for Canada. The Pontiff arriving here to apologize for the church's role in those residential schools. And coming up this morning, the Pontiff will meet directly with survivors in what some believe will be a key step towards healing. This morning, Pope Francis carrying the burden of a wrong he hopes to right on the very soil where decades of harm unfolded in Canada's residential school system, most of them operated by the Catholic Church. The Pontiff arriving in Western Canada to apologize for the church's role. From the late 1880s through to the mid-90s, officials say 150,000 children were forced to attend the schools. The aim to assimilate Indigenous children into Canadian culture by stripping them of their heritage and their languages and separating them from their families.
A survivor said, the only thing I learned in the residential school was how to hate myself.
Chief Tony Alexis leads the Alexis Nakota Sioux Nation and was among those calling for the Pope to travel to Canada to apologize in person.
We want to see some action behind this trip and not just lip service. It cannot be that way. It cannot be just a photo op. It has to be real work.
Wounds reopened just last year when more than 200 unmarked graves were discovered on the grounds of a former residential school. Dr. Marie Wilson served on the commission tasked with investigating and charting a path towards healing from the country's dark chapter.
They are long gone and by much of society not even long forgotten, not even known about. And it's about the children in our midst.
It will be a very heavy week here in Canada, and there's been a lot of focus on the Pope's health. He's been suffering from knee pain, and his movements will be limited this week, and he's also canceled some of his other foreign travel this month. But George, not this trip.
Marcus Moore, thank you.
This is Genesis 49:19. Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last. Shalom. I want to give all honor and glory and praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahushai, Ba'Shem Kodash. Double honors my teachers, the apostles and elders of the great millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect, for the house of David be born again in this generation. And shalom to the 130 Yasharallah, who today are known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who before losing our true heritage, we were known as, and still are, the true Hebrew Israelites of the Holy Bible. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about the events that took place with this video you just seen, right? Where the Pope came to Canada to apologize for what the Vatican has done, right? And namely, the Edomite race, okay? Because you see, like I read right now in Genesis, Gad is actually referring to the Native American Indians, right? And just as the prophecy written about Gad said that they would be overcome by a troop, that being the U.S. cavalry that basically slaughtered and decimated the Native American nation, right? To the point where they were subjugated onto the worst parts of the lands of America. And then once resources, oil, coal was found on those lands, they then were again subjugated to even worse areas, right? Known as reservations, right? This is the overcoming, the biblical overcoming of the tribe of Gad, right? That being the Native American Indians, right? And in this particular case, where the Pope came to apologize for atrocity that was committed by the Edomite race, which was backed by the Vatican Church, right? Was these things, these organizations, these schools referred to as residential schools, okay? You see, not only was Edom, and when I say Edom, I'm talking about the Caucasian race, right? Because that's the biblical name for the so-called white man, okay? Biblically, they are known as the Edomites, right? Well, the Edomites, not only did they want to destroy physically, right, and kill off the Indians, right? But they wanted to crush their heritage, right? And we ultimately know why that was, right? And that right there can be found in this prophecy where the Lord told us Israelites that he would punish us to the point where he would take away our identity, right? This is found in Jeremiah 17:4. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, right? And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever. Right? And what is that heritage that was given to us Israelites, right? Well, that is to be known as the Israelites, right? To know that we had at one point a language, right? A language known as Hebrew, right? And that we at one point dwelt in the land of Israel because it was given to us by the Most High, right? And that we were the original, or that we're basically God's chosen people, right? Because of this prophecy here, right? This is why we are now calling ourselves Indians, Apaches, Comanches, Mexicans, Salvadorians, Negroes, African Americans, Colombians, Chickawas, Seminole Indians, and all these different, terminologies, right? But again, when you cut through all those covering casts, you get to our true identity, that being that we are the Israelites of the Holy Bible, right? And namely, the Native American Indians would be that the descendants of Gad, right? Which is one of the 12 sons of Israel, right? Or Jacob. Now, that being said, let's read this. This is Ecclesiastes 3:15. That which hath been is now, and that which is to be hath already been, and God requireth that which is past. So you see, the Pope going to apologize, even if he was to go on bended knee with his faulty, crippled ass kneecaps, as the news article, that news report mentioned, it still wouldn't be enough. And why is that? Well, because, right, God requireth that which is past, right? All the killing, all the bloodshed, all the broken treaties, all the deception that these Edomites did to the nation of Gad is unforgivable, okay? And what does the scripture say? That let's get it real quick. This is Numbers 35 and 33. So ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood it defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. Right? And what is that talking about, man? That's talking about that these Edomites, these so-called white people, the Caucasian race, will have to pay for what they did, right, in their past lives, right? Because again, you always hear these Edomites saying, "Oh, well, that wasn't me," "Oh, those were my, that was so long ago. I wasn't even alive back then." No, when you read the Bible, it is made very clear, right? And other dogmas and doctrines and even science has shown that there is some sort of evidence for a past life, okay, right? And the thing is we all have lived on the earth before, right? Through reincarnation, right? Right now, the people who are alive now were alive 3 to 4 generations before us, okay? And a lot of the people who killed off the Indians, did all those atrocities, are alive today. And why is that? Well, because they're here for their judgment, right? And they know this. This is why right now they're trying to do all these apologies, pay reparations, give back beaches that were stolen to the Southern Kingdom, and all these things, man, right? But again, that was even prophecy in itself. This is Job 20 and 10. His children shall seek to please the poor, and his hand shall restore their goods. right? So you see, it's a prophecy, man, that these devils will, let's get it real quick. This is Isaiah 33:1. Woe to thee that spoilest, and thou wast not spoiled, and dealest treacherously, and they dealt not treacherously with thee. When thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled. And when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee. Right? So this right here is ultimately talking about the wicked, right? And that being the Edomites, okay? And they dealt very treacherously with the nation of Gad, man. Right? They did not keep one treaty that they signed with the Native Americans, man. Right? Every treaty that the U.S. government, these Edomites, made with the tribe of Gad, they broke, right? And there's so many movies about this, man. You can watch a movie, Geronimo was a famous movie, right? It just shows you, man, how these devils, they lie out of their, they lie, right? Everything they've done is a deceitful plot to get whatever whatever they want. Okay, so the thing is like it tells you here, man, that when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, and that's what's going on right now with these Edomites, right? When you get around these Edomites and their organizations, they're very sweet people, man. When you talk to them face to face, right? And that's because, one, they don't really know what's going on. They don't know that there are enemies and vice versa, right? They don't consider what their forefathers did as something that's fallen upon them, right? If they actually understood what is coming for them, then they would do exactly what the elites are doing now, right? Which is to seek to kill off the Israelites, right? This is ultimately another reason why these elites, the kings of Edom, right, the 1%ers, are seeking to reduce the population, right? And that's because ultimately, in that reduction of the population, they got you Israelites right in the crosshairs, man. And why is that? Well, because of this. Because of this. And the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. They understand that they're going to go into slavery. They understand that when the Lord shows up, that their game is over, that they're going to have to pay for everything that they've done, right? And this is going back to, past lives, man, that they're going to have to pay, because again, the Lord requireth that which is past. So again, it's not just these residential schools, which, by the way, let's go ahead and take a look at some of these residential schools, right? Let's read this real quick, just so that we have an idea of what's going on. It says, before and after photos of a young Cree boy forced to attend a Canadian Indian school in 1910. A great general has said that the only good Indian is a dead one. And I think that was actually Andrew Jackson, but I'm not sure. I'm not, certain about that. But, that's how these Edomites felt about the tribe of Gad, right? And honestly, this is how they feel about you Negro and Latinos, right? Because again, though they may, feign a smile, they you may, have friends or people that you think are friends, these people in their inner selves, they hate us as a people, man. They don't want to live by us. They don't want us to intermarry with them, right? The Bible says that they have broken the brotherly covenant, right? They have separated themselves, so much so that the elites, like I said again, are seeking to kill off everybody who is not Edomites, man, right? Because again, that 500 million that these elites are seeking to lower the world population to, it doesn't include you Negro, Latino, Native Americans, and it sure doesn't include the majority of the Asian nations, the true African nations, the Turkish, the Turkey, the Iranians, or all the other heathen nations out there, man. By and large, the 500 million people that Edom would permit to live will be Edomites and those other heathens which serve them well, right? That's the truth of the matter, man. But again, that's not what Esau's going to tell you, man. He's just going to say that he wants to reduce the population of the world for everybody's sake, man. But he's not going to tell you who's going to win the lottery, that he's already, made reservations for his own people, right? These devils are crafty, man. And though they have ceased to deal treacherously with the majority of their actions, they are still dealing treacherously on the back end, okay? Continuing, it says, in a sense, I agree with the sentiment. All the Indian there is in the race should be dead. Kill the Indian in him and save the man. Richard Pratt, founder of the, what is it? I can't even read it. The Canadian Indian Industrial School. I think that's what it says, right? So and that's what these are, man. Let's watch this.
Cleveland government moved to oppress us and to control and manage our lives so they could access freely without impediment. Nobody ever really expected that this could happen in Canada, that institutions, especially church ones,
right? And the video ends right there, unfortunately. But listen to what he said, man. Nobody believed that this could happen in Canada, right? Well, this happens all over the place where these Edomites go, man. Look at what happened to the Japanese, how they got put in internment camps. Look at what happened in the early 1900s, right, called Operation Wetback, where they basically rounded up a bunch of the Mexicans when the what was it called? The Great Depression started, man. They rounded up even American citizens who happened to be of Hispanic origins, and they basically freaking deported them to Mexico, and many of us died, right, in the prison cells and in the holding cells, right, and don't even get me started on what they did to the Southern Kingdom brothers, man, with the North Atlantic slave trade, and even after that, man, from the chain gangs to all these treacherous ways that they basically tricked those brothers into being indentured servants in the prison systems, even till today, man. The world is under Esau's spell right now, right? It's under the false pretenses that Esau is doing good for the world, right? That he is civilizing the world. He's not. The world was already civilized way before the Edomites came on the scene, right? And even before what they say, civilization started with the Greeks, they were way civilized, man. Look at the Babylonians, the Persians, and all these different nations that came before the Greeks, right? But you see, Esau comes on the scene and he wants to erase everything, just like when he was found lost at sea, right? But he then declares that he found or discovered America, man. No, man. See, these devils have lied to the world, and the world has believed their lies, man. Right? You see, that's what these residential schools are, man. Look at this, man. Look at this. Indian Training School, right? These are all Gadites, man, that were taken. And I bet you some of them are even Issacharites, man, because again, Issachar and Gad, they were intermingled, right, at what you now know as the American-Mexican border. And look at this, man. Look how many are in this photo. Let's look at this photo. Look at this, right? This right here is how, because see, they couldn't kill off all the Indians, man. There was too many Indians to kill off. So what did that little quote say, man? Kill the Indian and save the man. See, they wanted to wipe away the heritage of the Israelites, right? Of the Indians, right? And the thing is, unbeknownst to them, these people had already lost their heritage, right? They had, from the wars that had taken place over here before we were discovered, from the state that we had basically devolved into, where we, were living off of the land, man. Before we were Native American Indians, before we were the Aztecs, before we were the Incas, we were the Israelites, right? But just like in that movie, Lord of the Flies, right? They go off to an island and, everything's good for a little while, but then what happens is some event happens, some wars break out, so the what you built is destroyed, and, people basically are restarting over, man. They've lost their heritage. They lost their history. And that's what happened to the Gadites, not only once when they've lost their heritage of being Israelites, but also by the hands of Edom, right, when they lost their heritage of understanding what it was to be an Indian, man. Because again, a lot of the Indians that went to these residential schools actually came from the Americas, right? They would snatch up the women and children, and then they would separate the children from the parents, and they would ship the children up to Canada, right? What is the there was a, let me see if I can find it real quick. You know what, Aki, I'm Slaki. I just spent a couple minutes looking for it, but it was, couldn't find it. But basically, it was talking about the Trail of Tears, right? Which, when you get into the biblical timeline, just so that way you could understand when this took place. Let's take a look real quick. The Trail of Tears happened, right, during 1831 to 1850. Okay, what happened is, I think under Andrew Jackson, right? Under Andrew Jackson, what had happened was they basically made it a law that all the Indians had to move to a particular land, basically what we know today as the reservations. Okay, so from all over America, all the Indians, which were all scattered throughout America, which had gone into the little pockets of existence, right, after being, pushed out of their lands, they all were ordered to report to these lands, right? Which Esau freaking lied, man. He said that there would be, food and shelter there and all this stuff. But the video that I was looking for was of this Indian guy who was basically retelling the stories that he heard, right? And basically saying that at the beginning of the journey, right? Because again, there's multiple journeys that took place, right? Because these were all the Gadites that were coming from all over America, and they were all making the journey, being ushered by, as you can see here, these Edomites, right? They were being escorted onto these lands, right? Well, they said that at the beginning of their journey, that there was women and children amongst their groups, but by the end, that there was only men left, right? And what happened, right? Why did I say all that? Well, it's because, again, the statement that I had made, that the residential schools, right, all these children, where do you think they came from, right? When they were making those trips to the reservations, Esau snatched them up, separated them from their parents, and then ultimately shipped the kids off to be re-educated. Okay, that's the truth of the matter. That is the treachery of these Edomites, which they're trying to hide, which is why they don't want to teach critical race theory, right? This is Obadiah 1:10. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever, right? And Jacob here is talking about us Israelites, the Negro, Latino, and Native Americans, right? Because you see, these Edomites, they're ashamed, right? When you get into the crux of what's, why they don't want CRT, critical race theory, to be taught in schools, is because they don't want their children to know what their ancestors, what their people did to the other nations, man, right? They're ashamed, right? What does it say? Shame shall cover thee, right? And that's what's happening right now, man. But what's going to happen to them besides being shamed by this? Thou shalt be cut off forever. And why is that? Because of this. And the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. Right? So you see, the Lord is righteous in his judgments, man. Right? These Edomites that are going to bring on their own extinction, right? Their own slavery, they have done it by their own hands, man. Right? By their own actions, which ultimately the Lord made them do this, right? He put them into a trick bag, man, right? That snare that they set up for us, thinking that they were going to get rid of us, ultimately came back to bite them in the ass, man. And now, fairly soon, they're going to have to pay for what they've done, right? So hopefully this video was edifying. Until the next time, I want to give all honor and glory and praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahushai, Ba'Shem, Ruach Kodesh. Double honors my teachers, the apostles and elders of the great millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect. Shalom.